You've seen his face 100 times. The crooked stare, the grizzled smile, the villain who could steal a whole movie without saying a word. That man was Jack Elam, one of Hollywood's most unforgettable character actors. But behind the laughter and menace, Jack carried a grudge so strong it shocked Hollywood. He despised one of the biggest stars of all time, Gary Cooper. Not disliked, not disapproved, and hated. So what fueled this fiery contempt? Was it envy, truth, or something deeper? Stay tuned, because this story changes how you'll see both men forever. William Scott Elam was born on November 13, 1920, in Miami, Arizona. He grew up in a desert mining town where storytelling and grit were part of everyday life. His path to stardom wasn't straightforward. During World War II, he served in the United States Navy, where he learned discipline and toughness. After the war, he studied at the University of Southern California, initially focusing on business before turning to acting. But even before he set foot on a Hollywood set, fate had given him a distinguishing mark. A childhood accident left him with a damaged eye that wandered noticeably. In a world obsessed with perfect looks, this might have ended his chances before they began. But Jack Elam turned it into his greatest weapon. That crooked gaze gave him a natural menace, an unpredictability that directors loved. It became his calling card, the trademark that made him unforgettable. Over the next 5 decades, he built a career spanning more than 200 film and television appearances. He became the outlaw, the sidekick, the scheming henchman, the drunken stranger who could turn dangerous in a heartbeat. Westerns loved him, and audiences loved to hate him. His roles in The Night of the Grizzly, 1966, Once Upon a Time in the West, 1968, and Support Your Local Sheriff, 1969, made him a fixture of the genre. But what separated him from countless other bad guys was his ability to add humor. He could make you laugh and shiver at the same time. His range extended beyond westerns. He appeared in comedies, dramas, and family films. On television, his presence was everywhere. He left his mark on Gunsmoke, Bonanza, The Twilight Zone, and The Lone Ranger. Even if his role was small, he found a way to steal the scene. Audiences never forgot the crooked eye, the sly smile, or the eccentric mannerisms. In 1974, he surprised fans with the short-lived comedy The Texas Wheelers. Playing Zach Wheeler, a rough father returning to raise children after their mother's death, Jack showed heart beneath the grit. The show only lasted 8 episodes, but critics praised his performance. It also introduced young actors like Mark Hamill, who would soon become Luke Skywalker, and Gary Busey, who went on to fame in his own right. Even when the ratings doomed the series, Jack's rugged charm made it memorable. He wasn't afraid to take risks. In 1979, he starred in the CBS sitcom Struck by Lightning, playing Frankenstein's monster. The quirky comedy followed a modern scientist who discovered his ancestor was Dr. Frankenstein and ended up living with the monster. Jack's distinctive features and offbeat humor made him a perfect fit, though the series was canceled after 3 episodes in America. All 11 episodes eventually aired in the United Kingdom, giving audiences there a rare look at this odd chapter in his career. In the 1990s, he continued to surprise. On Home Improvement, in the episode Birds of a Feather Flock to Taylor, he appeared alongside Tim Allen and Ernest Borgnine. The performance proved his comedic instincts were still sharp. For fans who remembered him as a menacing outlaw, it was delightful to see him making audiences laugh on one of the biggest sitcoms of the decade. Jack also brought his eccentric style to big-screen comedy. In The Cannonball Run, 1981, with stars like Burt Reynolds, Dom DeLuise, and Farrah Fawcett, he played Dr. Nicholas Van Helsing, a wild-eyed, crazed proctologist. His manic energy made him unforgettable, and he returned in Cannonball Run 2, 1984, to play the role again. In The Aurora Encounter, 1986, he played Charlie Henkins, a town drunk in a strange mix of Western and science fiction. On that set, he met Mickey Hayes, an 11-year-old with progeria, a rare condition that caused premature aging. Despite their differences in age and circumstance, they formed a close friendship. Their bond was later captured in the documentary I Am Not a Freak, 1987. Jack himself said, "I've met a lot of people, but I've never met anybody that got next to me like Mickey." It revealed a side of Jack audiences rarely saw: tender, compassionate, deeply human. Even late in his career, he was still active. In Where the Hell's That Gold? 1988, he teamed up with Willie Nelson and Delta Burke in a light-hearted Western about treasure, betrayal, and outlandish characters. It allowed him to return to his roots while keeping the comedy alive. His contributions were honored in 1994, when he was inducted into the Hall of Great Western Performers at the National Cowboy and Western Heritage Museum in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. It was a fitting recognition for a man who had defined the character actor's role in Westerns. But for all his charm and warmth, Jack had a sharp tongue when it came to Hollywood's legends. None more so than Gary Cooper. To the public, Gary Cooper was the very embodiment of dignity. He was the tall, stoic cowboy, the quiet hero of High Noon, the winner of multiple Academy Awards. Critics adored his understated style, and audiences embraced him as the face of the American West. He didn't need many words. Just his presence on screen was enough to command respect. At least that was the image. But to Jack Elam, that image was nothing more than a fraud. He never bought into the myth of Gary Cooper. In interviews and on sets, Jack would scoff at the idea that Cooper was a great actor. "Gary Cooper never impressed me," he said flatly. He was always just there. You'd have these great character actors carrying a scene, pouring their hearts into it, and Cooper would mutter a line in that low voice. Critics called it brilliant. I never saw brilliance. I saw a guy who got by on looking good in a cowboy hat. Jack believed that Cooper was not only overrated, but lazy. While Elam treated every role, big or small, as a challenge worth sweating over, he claimed Cooper avoided rehearsals, gave minimal effort, and coasted on his reputation. To Jack, watching Hollywood shower Cooper with praise while ignoring the tireless work of supporting actors was infuriating. It wasn't just Cooper's work ethic that angered him, it was his attitude. Many described Cooper as polite, but Jack painted a different picture. To powerful studio heads or glamorous actresses, Cooper turned on the charm. But to working actors, he barely gave the time of day. For a man like Jack Elam, who respected everyone on set, that arrogance was unforgivable. The final insult came when Cooper won the Oscar for High Noon. Jack mocked the performance, saying, "You could have put a cigar store Indian in that role and gotten the same result." His verdict was devastating. Gary Cooper was like wallpaper. He was there, he filled the space, but you didn't notice him unless someone told you to. For Jack, the problem was bigger than Cooper himself. To him, Cooper symbolized Hollywood's obsession with image over substance, with good looks over hard work. Jack, who built his career on sweat and dedication, could never forgive that imbalance. His hatred for Cooper was the hatred of a craftsman for a system that glorified stars while overlooking the character actors who gave films their soul. Away from Hollywood, Jack lived a quieter personal life. He married Jean-Louise Hodgert in 1937, and the two remained together until her death in 1961. Later that year, he married Margaret M. Jennison, and they stayed together for more than 4 decades. On October 20th, 2003, Jack Elam passed away at his home in Ashland, Oregon, from congestive heart failure. He was 82 years old. Today, when people think of Jack Elam, they remember that crooked eye, the rugged face, the unforgettable voice. They remember the villains that made westerns thrilling, the eccentric roles that made comedies sparkle, and the heart he showed both on and off the screen. He may have despised Gary Cooper, but that anger was never just about one man. It was about a system that overlooked the hard workers in favor of those who looked the part. And in the end, Jack Elam proved what Gary Cooper never could. That true grit and raw presence outlast glamour. He was never wallpaper. He was unforgettable. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more untold Hollywood legends. Thanks for watching.